Now I'll turn the mic on. What was the thumbs down for? Oh no, I'm going to turn the mic on. If I get too loud though, you can turn me down. Melody? No? Sorry, it does sound familiar. I don't know why. It's he wrote it in such a way, I guess, that it sounds like something else that you know. The name of that is, anybody know what kind of song it was, actually? Let me ask that first. So what? It's a nigun. So nigun is a fancy word that means a melody. That's all that it means. And a lot of them have words like ay, ay, ay put to them, or bim, bom, or oi, 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 or some other weird sounds that you can make. But the one thing that they don't have is words. And why? So words take a lot of brain power. You're concentrating on your pronunciation, especially if it's in another language. And if it's in English, you're wondering what it means. And ay, 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 you don't have to think about it. You just kind of do it. So the name of that is the Elul Nigun. So Elul is the month in the Hebrew calendar that we are in. And in 2 days, we will not be in Elul anymore. So I've been singing that melody all day because it's coming. The high holidays are coming, and this year it's a little bit different with some extra fun for all of us, whether to come in person, whether to stay at home, all those kinds of decisions. And the announcement that I get to make to all of you who are sitting here tonight is that on top of that, there was some extra fun this afternoon. So, tonight's service will be a little shorter than I was planning because there is no running water, which means no one gets to go to the bathroom. If you have to go, I would recommend going now to your car and going to find a restroom. You should not do it in the building. For those of you watching at home, you can use your bathrooms. It's quite all right. No one's going to stop you. Oh, the thunder. It's good. It's good. So for those of you who don't know who I am, and I'm just some random person either that you're seeing in person or at home, my name is Rabbi Brett Tanser, and I was invited to come back for the second week in a row to lead services. Rabbi Hickman will be here on Monday night for Erev Rosh Hashanah services. So before we do anything else, there are candles somewhere. Right over there. Oh, they're very far away. Would anyone care to come and light the candles? Oh. Oh, please, come on down. We're going to see if he can light the matches. I'm not going to hand them to anyone under the age of 10 tonight. Several people asked me if the carpet is okay from last week. The carpet is fine. So that's not fair. Let's see. If you take this for a moment so she can get on candle level. Pick a direction. Right there? Okay. So Daddy's going to help you with this, okay? The box is yours. Oh. You need to pray that match lights. Yeah, there you go. Ooh. Oh, we started a tradition. Mike Slotkin. Oh, almost. It's right near the air conditioning vent. We're going to be careful. You hold that one. I'll hold it. Almost. Here, hang on 1 second. Oh, you got it. Now, I would actually say use that. Oh, almost. If you're watching, regardless of where your seat is, send a little prayer this way. Let's see if we can. They are. They're trick candles. We got them just for you. We knew you were coming. Shoot. Oh. Take the candle. Oh, this is like. Serious business. You are not right under, but you're close enough that Are we kidding? What are we doing? Come on. Here, watch out for 1 second. Let me go like this. Oh, there we go. Okay. Don't say all right until they're stayed lit for like 10 seconds. We're good. Perfect. Oh, applause-worthy. Do you hear that? They're all clapping for you. Should we say the blessing? Yeah? Let's see. Can you take your hands? Some people go like this, and they take their hands, and they go, and they circle them. And they're going to circle them 3 times. They're going to say, Let's see. We circle once for ourselves, once for our family, one more time for all of humanity, and then we close our eyes. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lecha likne shel Shabbat. I know it's a cool match. Thank you for coming up. All right. No, we don't blow them out. We really did start a tradition. It's kind of cool. So, you can do the lighting of the candles all the way until the end of Kabbalat Shabbat, until end of the pre-evening service on Shabbat, to kind of stretch it out as long as possible. But I made it Shabbat now. It's a little dark outside. There's lots of stuff that's happened this afternoon. We're going to say that Shabbat is here, and it's a different day, and we're going to hope for some better juju in this place. So if you're in the sanctuary, I'm going to say that we should turn in your prayer books. So let's go all the way to, look at that, page 131. There we go. So this starts with another nigun. It's very easy. This one is a Yailai Lai nigun. But we can also sing Shabbat Shalom. So it goes like this. So we sing Shabbat Shalom, we sing Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. We're on page 131. Okay, it goes. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru, Miyom Leyom, Yeshuato, Sapru Vagoyim, Yevodo, Bechol Ha'amim Nifleotaro, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Try yalalai, yalai, nanai, nai, lalai, nai, yalai, lalai, nai, yalalai, yalalai, nanai, nai, 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 lalai, nai, yalai, lalai, nai, nanai, 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 nai. Anai, 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 Shabbat Shalom. You can sing louder than that. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Very nice. It's a lot of words, yes? It's a lot of words. It's not so easy. You do it enough weeks in a row, and you start to get it. and then we change the melody. That's how it works. So let's turn to page 138, where we have the words of Lecha Dodi. It's the poem. It's not even a prayer. It's the poem that we recite every Friday night as we welcome in Shabbat. In the city of Tzfat in Israel, they used to go out into the fields and look up to the mountains, and they would wait for Shabbat to come in. They would wait for the bride to come. It's a little bit of a beautiful idea. If it was not raining outside, maybe, but not tonight. Okay. So I have not sung this melody in more than 20 years, actually. I can't tell you why. But I was not able to sing it for like 20 years. A couple weeks ago, someone convinced me to sing it, so we're going to try it. Lecha, lecha, dodi, likrat, likrat, kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha, lecha, dodi, likrat, likrat, kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha, lecha, dodi, likrat, likrat, kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha, lecha, dodi, likrat, likrat, kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabel. Verse number 1. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litzchila la la la. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse number 2. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mikor ha'aprecha, merosh miketem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila la la la. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. On the next page at the very top, Hitoreri, Kiva Oreko Miori, Ori, Ori, Shir, Daveri, Kivodranaya La Yiknik La 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 La, Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Lecha Dodi, Likrat Likrat Kala, B'nei B'nei Shabbat nekabela. For the final verse of Lecha Dodi, verse 9, people are rising. We traditionally rise and face the entrance to our sanctuary. If you're at home, you can face the entrance to the room you're in, or the entrance to your home, or just the door to a really nice view. If you're not so able to rise, and it's very difficult, whenever I say that, you can honestly not rise. It's completely fine. But we welcome the Sabbath bride with verse number 9, Bo'ui v'shalom. Bo'ui v'shalom atzeret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, tuch emunei yam segula. Bo'ui chala, bo'ui chala, bo'a la 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 la, lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. La 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 la, lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. Actually, why not? On page 140. So this is the Psalm for Shabbat, or as some of my students say, the Psalm of Shabbat. It's funny, except during a service, it's not funny when they say it. Oh, the Psalm. So Psalm 92 begins with the words, Mizmor Shir LeYom HaShabbat. This is a song for Shabbat. And then it says, Tov lehodot ladonai. It's on line 3. Line 3, it's still there. Tov lehodot ladonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. So it's good to give thanks to God, which is true. It's not so bad to give thanks to God, to a higher power in general. Just to give thanks is actually a good thing. It's a healing thing, a positive thing from what the research all shows. It means that you're thinking and having gratitude for something that happened, and you're not thinking about something bad, and you're also not thinking that you want something in return. You're just offering thanks. It's the original idea behind Thanksgiving. Let's do this. Mizmor Shir LeYom HaShabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. It's a lot of Hebrew, I know. If we look on line 3, it's there. We sing Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Now the words keep going, but we're going to just do Lai Lai Lais tonight. Tonight's the night of Lai Lai Lais. Let's see. Tov lehodot, tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot, tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Does anybody have anything that they want to give thanks for? Either in public, you can do it in private, but if anyone has anything, some congregations call it oys to joys or something like that. Please. Glad to be visiting from Atlanta to visit your dad and your stepmom. That's awesome. Welcome. Anybody? Please. Yes, we sometimes forget to be thankful for the fact that we're alive. It's an important one. Every day above ground. Anybody? Please. Okay, so that's a big one to give thanks for. Anytime that the hurricane steers away from you, you should absolutely be very thankful. So for all these things, and for all the things that all of you at home, if you wanted to write into the chat, you can. I'm not going to read them now. And for all the things that we kept private, that we didn't share at all, for all those things, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, it's good to give thanks to God. Turn to page 142. As we welcome in the angels of Shabbat, the words of Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Malachi Hashaveh, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. So after we've said hello and after we've said welcome and please bless us, tomorrow night we will send the angels back on their way and see them, tell them we'll see them next week. We say, Seitchem Shalom. Seitchem Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It feels like Shabbat a little bit. So we're gonna look at page 146. 146 is the Baruch Hu. Yes. So even though we just stood up to greet the Sabbath bride, the ancient rabbis, they wanted you to stand up again. A little bit, it's called Mishaneh Makom. If you're able, I invite you to please rise. It's called Mishaneh Makom, Mishaneh Mazal. So changing your position, changing where you are, even just a little bit, can change your perspective. So literally, it's Mishaneh Makom. If you change your place, Mishaneh Mazal, you change your luck, is the ancient saying. There's some wisdom in it. Sometimes you need to stand up to think of the answer, and sometimes you need to walk around a little bit. And sometimes, in this case, you need to bow. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed. Yai lai 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 lai. You may be seated. Oh, the guitar does not like the weather. Close enough. Let's turn to page 149. Let's read at the top in English. Let's read together. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and seasons glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current day of it. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. So on the previous page, if you look, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines up from the bottom of the Hebrew. It's called a chatima. Every blessing has a opening and a closing. And for this one, the closing begins a couple lines up from the bottom. But it says, Umavir yom u'mevin laila, umavdil ben yom u'ben laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, melechai v'kayam, tamidim lo chaleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai, Hama'ariv aravim. Let's turn to page 150. So Holly and I talked on the phone. Oh, it seems like a really long time ago now, right? So I got a whole list of all the things that you know as far as melodies and things like that. And then I talked to Rabbi Hickman, who gave me like a whole list of things that you know. Most of it was the same and some of it was different. And then there's some stuff that I like and I wanted to use that. So I'm trying to do a little bit of everything for everyone, if that makes sense. So the Shema is surrounded on both sides by love. It's like a love sandwich around the Shema. So on one side it says Ahavat Olam, everlasting love. So it's talking about everlasting love. Beit Yisrael amcha ahavta, that you have for your people Israel, whom you love. And then after, we have, and you shall love Adonai. So the first one is about God's love for us, and the second is about our love for God. It's a nice idea, right? Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, u'kimu mishpatim, otanu limadeta, tanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Al keim Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, uvkumenu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Yihem chayenu ve'orech yameinu, u'vahem nege yomam balayla, nege yomam balayla. Be'ahavat ha'al tasir, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch ata Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael. So on page 152 and 153 are the words of Shema. There you are. Did anyone grow up in a congregation where it was called the watchword of our faith? Yeah? One of my rabbis would like to say it a lot. It's one of the only things I remember. I I remember all the music and the watchword of our faith. So what does that mean? Does anyone know? If you had to explain Judaism to someone and you had like no time at all, this is what you would tell them. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. The second part, the Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed, it's not actually part of the Shema. It's from somewhere completely different, and it got smushed together with it. We don't actually know why. There's a story that when Moses was up on Mount Sinai, he heard the angels saying it to one another. And he heard it, and he took it back with them to the people. And so the tradition is that we say, Shema Yisrael, we say it really loud. And when we get to Baruch Shem Kavod, people say it in a whispered tone, right? Now, in many Reform congregations, we just say them both and sing them, and that's it. But if you go to a conservative and Orthodox congregation, you'll hear them whisper the second line, usually to themselves, except during the high holidays, where we are on the same level as the angels, and we get to yell it, we get to shout it, we get to sing it very, very loud, and not just to ourselves, but to the entire world. It's a nice story. There's like 12 other stories about the origins of that line and why we do it, but we're almost to the high holidays. So. Another thing about the Shema is that it has how many words? 6 words. So 6 words is almost complete. Right? Ya na 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 na. Like you want to keep going. It's not quite complete. And it was also probably used something like a mantra in ancient times. Like Om Me Padme Om, or one of those style type things, where you repeat it over and over again, and you can use it almost like a meditative practice. I find the Shema is very helpful when I need to fall asleep at night and I'm having trouble. You hear that, Larry? When you have insomnia, Shema. Maybe. Sometimes it works. So if you're comfortable, I invite you to uncross your legs and put both feet firmly on the ground. And relax your shoulders if you can. It's not always that easy. We have a way of carrying the week with us into wherever we go, even if it's a place where we're talking about how the week is not anymore. It's over. But some of that stress, some of that pressure comes, and it doesn't go away so easily. So try and relax your shoulders. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. And just practice breathing a little bit. Nice, slow, deep breaths. Let's breathe in. And breathe out. And on this next breath, we're going to breathe in the idea of rest and the idea of refreshment, which is what Shabbat is all about. So let's breathe in some of that refreshment, some of that relaxation, and hopefully breathe out all of that stuff that we're taking with us and we're trying to bring across the threshold into Shabbat. If you can soften your eyes, relax your forehead. I heard people say it, and it's possible. Let's take one more deep breath. If you're comfortable with your eyes still closed, if you need the words, you can open them. We join together in the watchword of our faith. the Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Let's read together the next paragraph of the Shema in Hebrew. Let's read it in English. On page 154 at the bottom. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all of my mitzvot and to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. I said short service. We're not so short, but it's okay. If you look on page 162, so there are two prayers on this page. The first one is Vishamru. The second one is Yismechu. And traditionally, you only got Vishamru in the evening, and you only got Yismechu in the morning, unless you went, and there was a Kiddush after Saturday morning, and most people would do Vishamru as part of the Kiddush on Saturday morning. It's very complicated, but it meant that for a lot of years, there was no Yismechu on Friday nights, and Vishamru only happened then, unless you went to the Kiddush in a conservative temple on Saturday mornings. Options. It's a brave new world. We can do new things. We're still going to do Vishamru on Friday night, though. So at the very top, the song for the Sabbath day, we sing Vishamru. Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat L'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berit olam. So it's one of my favorite things that they just did. I don't know if you can see it on camera. So they just stood up. So the real movement is this. You ready? So on the word et, you're supposed to stand up. You're supposed to turn around and then sit back down and say woo, which is a lot of movement, and it takes a lot of practice, but it's kind of enjoyable, actually. Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Woo, Nasasi et HaShabbat L'dorotam berit olam Beini ubein B'nei Yisrael Oti leolam Oti leolam Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat L'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et HaShamayim V'et haaretz Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat L'asot et HaShabbat L'dorotam berit olam Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafar Shavat vayinafar Shavat vayinafar Vishamru B'nei Yisrael et
השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
If any of you want to know where it came from, email me and I will tell you. So on the next page begins, the next real page in your books becomes the Amidah, or the Tefillah. So the word Amidah literally means the standing prayer. But we are also very aware of the fact that not everybody can do that. And so as a way of being more inclusive, the official name of this section is Tfilot HaAmidah, the prayers that you stand for. So we use the word Hatfilah, which just means the prayer, or Hatfilot, that means the prayers. If you're able and you find it meaningful, we rise for the Amidah. If you're not so able and you prefer, you may remain seated. I had to rehearse the high holiday melody for this a lot in the last week. We're going to see if I remember how the regular version for Shabbat goes.
שפתיי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך אדוני שפתיי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך אדוני שפתיי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך שפתיי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך שפתיי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. On page 166, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibur ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, Magen Avraham be'ezrat Sarah, on page 168. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, mechaye hakol ata rav lehoshia. מוריד הטעם, מחלקל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו בשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך במית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, the very bottom, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. And if we turn one more page, אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלו הסלע, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
So all the way until page 180 is what's considered a personal prayer. In the evening, this entire thing is silent. We do it just to ourselves. But because all of you come on Friday night, we do it out loud. But take some time. You can look through the book all the way, both sides of the page. Some have the original prayers with their meaning, and some have things that were inspired by the prayers. If you feel comfortable standing, stand. If you feel comfortable sitting, sit. It's up to you. When everyone is done, everyone is completed, we'll continue. On page 178. So twice we pray for peace, because you can never have enough peace. So we say Shalom Rav, but we also use the words on the next page of Oseh Shalom. This week especially, I think a little peace is okay for the entire world.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov be'einecha לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
7:56. I'm going to talk very fast. This is actually the Shabbat where people would not give a sermon. This Shabbat and sometimes next Shabbat, because you get to hear all the good stuff during the holidays, and you don't need to hear it during Shabbat. I won't be here next week, so I'm going to tell you something. So I was here last night. There was a Apples and Honey and Fun program. Right? Fun E program. Fun E, okay. Anything that has fun in the name, I get very wary of, but that's okay. It was actually a lot of fun. There were a number of families, some kids making some different crafts outside, some good food. And then I went and had some ice cream with some very nice people. And then I went back to my hotel and was working on a high holiday prayer book that I somehow agreed to make for the congregation where I'm leading the high holidays this year. Now, why would anyone do such a thing, you ask? It's a really good question. It's not the easiest thing to do. And during that, I realized very early on that the number of edits that were being requested required a much bigger screen than my tiny little 13.1-inch MacBook Pro. Now, I don't know if you've seen them, but it's like this big. I don't know how anyone reads on it. I bought one like 2 weeks ago. I don't know why. The software that I need runs on it, so I bought it. And I've been playing with it, but it's very, very small. And so at some point, I drove home back to Jupiter to get all of my stuff. I got a book, I got a monitor, I got a keyboard, I got a mouse, I got some good materials. And I spent something like 12 or 14 hours over the last, I don't know, most of today, and some of last night, and yesterday, and the day before that, working on this book. So this congregation is using, does everyone remember Gates of Red? Yes? So you all have you've purchased copies of the CCAR, the Reform Movement's new High Holiday Prayer Books. It's so fancy that you get 2 books instead of 1 book. There's a book dedicated entirely to Rosh Hashanah and a book devoted entirely to Yom Kippur. And it's beautiful. They included so much in it that is beneficial for, I think, everyone, right? In the old book, you got what you got, and maybe there was another service that you could look at if you got bored. Otherwise, you kind of just stared at the walls, right? And hoped that it was going to end soon. That was mostly the consensus from everyone that I know. They were really hoping it ended soon. And this book, these 2 books, they give you perspective on the prayers. They give you some background. They give you other interpretations of the prayer. Maybe a poem, some artwork, something to think about. Not everyone can just do the prayers. You can't just, it doesn't work for a lot of people. Some people are not word people, and some people especially are not word people from 2,000 years ago. It's very hard. The holidays are very hard. Now, you just recently got these books, yes? So here's a couple of the other reasons that you probably got the books. Gates of Red did not have the majority of the prayers transliterated. Yes, everyone know what transliteration is? It's a big fancy word that means Heblish, right? So it takes the prayers in Hebrew and writes them out for all of us who maybe are not such good Hebrew readers. Now, why is that important? Is it important? You have the meaning. There's someone up here singing or reading at you. Hopefully sometimes you're singing along or reading along. So why is it important if you know how to say it? Especially in Hebrew. What do you think? No, so the translation has always been there. It was always included, right? Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King, right, is how it went. The book was published, the year before I was born. That is the latest version of that book. It was the year I was born it came out. So 43 years ago, that book, hit the stands, so to speak. Now, what's wrong with Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King? That's what it says. It says that in the Hebrew. It says Avinu Malkeinu, and the word Av means father, and Malkeinu means king. So what's the big deal? Why can't we just have that? Is that problematic? Yes, Holly. So, yes. And people have done it. So, yes, so it exists. If you can imagine that it exists, or that you wish it would exist, it exists. Someone has tried, maybe not as well as you might do, but someone has at least tried. So the feminine form of Avinu Malkeinu, where we talk about Imenu, right, our mother, Malkatenu is the word. So our mother, our queen. What's the problem with that? So it takes the men out, and if you have our Father, our King, it takes the women out. So what do? So the new books include language that is pluralistic and that maybe reflects better everyone's individual conception of maybe what a divine being is. Maybe some people don't like to see or think of a father figure or a parent at all. So in the new book, it's all Avinu Malkeinu is translated as Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful. It doesn't have gender, right? It doesn't have gender, but it's not bad. It takes some getting used to. Our Father, our King. My entire childhood, it's how it is in my head. It's just how it is. And then I learned Hebrew, and then I learned Aramaic, and I learned all these other things, and that's just how it is. That's how it is, and still, it doesn't fit so much anymore. No one used to talk about it. No one ever talked about, maybe I don't think of God as a person, or God as a guy, right? So the reason about the transliteration, the reason about the Heblish, is because sometimes people want to participate, and they can't, and the language itself is a barrier. Which is why you have not gates of blue, right? Gates of prayer, or gates of gray, which is the intermediary prayer book in between gates of blue and the new blue books, Mishkan Tefillah, right? These books, everything is transliterated. So even if your Hebrew is not so good, you can still participate, you can still sing along or read along. And the new High Holiday Machzorim, the new High Holiday prayer books, everything is transliterated. And not only that, just like in the Friday night and festival prayer books, they gave you other stuff to look at so that you can connect in some way maybe with the prayers. So the last thing is that some of the liturgy is very uncomfortable for us. So this is a year when not everyone that we know was the healthiest. And if we don't know someone personally who is seriously affected by what's been going on in the world for 2 years now? We probably know someone who knows someone, right? In the very beginning of the pandemic, it was, I don't know anyone, right? And I don't know anyone who knows anyone, so it's something I see on TV or read about in the paper. I know a lot of people now. I've done a lot of funerals. I've done a lot of Misha Berachs. And not all of those Misha Berachs turned out so well. So when we talk about Unatana Tokef, which is the foundational, it's one of the most foundational prayers that we use during the holidays. And we talk about all of the ways that people are going to die, right? Who by fire and who by water, who by plague and who by famine and who by hunger and who by disease. Plague is in there. It's in the text. And it's fine, but in a year like this, it's not so comfortable. It's just not. You know? And the new books, they talk about that a little bit. It may not be specific about everything that happens, but they talk about it, and that's important. So why am I making a prayer book? Especially since I haven't touched them in like 3 years. I stopped killing trees and started using screens. Because also the people who are watching at home, because not everyone will be here, not everyone will be there, they need the words too. And the choices were, give them a book to take home, and they bring it back, and then they have to disinfect all the books. And they left it in a room for 3 weeks and waited for the COVID to go away. And then they sanitized them, and then, and only then, they could put them back in the closet. So the books that aren't so inclusive and use language that's not so good, and they include only the Hebrew for most of the stuff, so you can't participate, still had to sit and on the table for 3 weeks, still had to get disinfected, and then had to get put away. So I made things for people at home that they can see on their screens, and I made things for people in the room so that no one had to touch the same copy of the service because the cooties might get on them. No, people, you know what? People get nervous, and it's rightfully so. And we were able to include things that people might find meaningful if the original words and the original meaning of the words were not as meaningful. And so when somebody from the congregation said to me today, they said, you know, if it's too much, it's too much. You can just say no. And I said, you know, I still say it's worth it. I don't necessarily want to drive back to Jupiter again right now, but I still say it's worth it. And so this high holidays, I invite you, whether you're here, whether you're at home, wherever you are, if you have the books, look through them. There really is some incredibly meaningful things. There really are. And those meaningful things may actually change your outlook and your perspective on everything. Sometimes words have that kind of power. And sometimes music has that kind of power. Listen, I understand Holly's going to be singing something beautiful. A couple of beautiful things. I'm sorry, I'm going to miss it. Words and music together can be very powerful, not only to change us, but to change the world. Where if you look very, very deeply at what the meanings and the motifs are about the holidays themselves, making the world a little bit of a better place is kind of up there on the list of what it means. So I'll say Shabbat Shalom, I'll also say Shana Tova, since I won't see most of you before Monday. We turn to page 371 as our thoughts turn to those we love who are in need of healing. If you're sitting at home and you're watching and you want to add a name to the list, please write it in the chat box. So this week we're praying for Minerva and Bill and Henry and Tyler, Karen and Mitch, Corley, Eve, Keaton, Nicole, Victor, Celia Grossman, Erwin Hale, Shaya, David, Evelyn, Robert, Diana, Lori and Dina and Hillary, Matthew, Betty, Patty and Kelsey and Carly, Harvey, Jed, Michelle, Susan, Sarah, Victor, Doris, Maxine, Jody. If you'd like to mention the name of someone that's on the list, please. Hold on one sec. Oh, we'll let a couple more people from home write in if they are. Anybody else, please? Anyone else? Did I miss anyone? As well as, very, very small letters. From Jill and Michael and Bryson and Maddox and Benita. And Gordon. And Margot. Page 371, for all those we say, Mishiberach Avotenu V'Imotenu Abraham Yitzhak V'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel V'Leah V'Yivarech V'Yirapeh Tacholim, and Skippy, Penny, Amber. You're welcome. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless those in need of healing with a whole and complete healing, a refuah shlema. As we sing. Mi sheberach avotenu mikor habracha le'imotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Aleinu can be found on page 586 as we begin to conclude our service. I invite you again to, if you're able, to please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gidula liotzer b'reishit, shelo asanu ki goyeh haratzot, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו ככם וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה עד page 191 למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא
יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, אחד.
If you're observing our yard site this Shabbat, I'd like to invite you to remain standing, otherwise you may be seated. On this Shabbat, if you're at home and would like to mention the name of a loved one who's died at this year, this time in years past, or in this season, please do so in the chat box. During the period of Shloshim, we remember Cantor Israel Goldstein, mentor and friend to Rabbi Pat, Dr. Hobby Wilson, dear friend and neighbor of Skippy Lover. On the occasion of yard sites, we remember this Shabbat Rebecca Becky Barwis, Bert Chansky, Gilbert Garfield, Evelyn Gollop, Faye Golishin, Abraham Carlin, Sanford Roberts, Rita Burkhart, as well as anyone else? Anyone write anything in Mike? Today's? It's not the right date. Rebecca Becky Barwis, Irene Brown, Arthur Burnett, Edith Yaffe Gross, Walter Holtz, Abraham Carlin, Frida Rossinger, and Martin Victor. If you're able, I invite you, I know, one more time to please rise as we stand together with those in mourning as we recite the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. The Kaddish can be found on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah B'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Bagala uvisman kariv b'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivorach le'alam ul'olmei almaya Yitparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal Shemei dekudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. I invite you to remain standing for the Kiddush v'imru amen. Would anyone like to hold our Kiddush cup? Holly, would you? Oh, please. I have not learned yet how to play and hold. My next time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho me'ava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta
אותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Hold it up. Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh Hashem. I'll take a sip. Oh, you can have the honor this week. Oh. I believe it is blackberry. Oh, it's, oh. I didn't, see, had I known, I would have traded with you. And for those of you watching at home, those of you in the room, we have no water.
I could hand it out. You take
That would be so helpful. Thank you. Individually wrapped pieces of challah. So gloves were used for this. I'll take this. We say Amotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. For those of you here, thank you for coming. And thank you for staying despite there not being any working toilets or faucets. They will be fixed by next week. For those of you watching at home, thank you for joining us. We're going to end tonight. I'll take one for after. Thank you. We're going to end with this very old nigun. And I will say Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova, wishing all of you a happy, a healthy new year, a sweet Shabbat. Shabbat. Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat. Get it? It's funny. No? Yeah? Happy, see? Oh, old lang syne, not really used for, Na 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 Shabbat Shalom. Oh, 1 week. Thank you.